Hello everyone. This week you are going to be pulling together your digital poster. This digital poster is going to replace what would have been a traditional trifold or a cardboard poster presentation that you may have done in other courses. Nowadays, if you're going to go to any type of conference and you're going to present information that you found through research or maybe a literature review, you're going to present this in a format that can be hung and displayed. The digital poster is the format that you will use to set up a professional poster. This poster would then be taken to a copy company, or there's some online that will print digital posters. They will take your poster, they increase the size to about 400% of your poster size, and then they print it. You can have it printed on paper or a glossy paper, photo paper. You can have it put on poster paper. Really is a preference. The cost of printing a digital poster runs anywhere between $30 and $100, depending on the type of paper you use and the size that you use. Typically, this would be printed at 400%, and it would result in a 3-foot by 4-foot type of poster that would then hang on Velcro types of walls or maybe affixed with command strips. It really depends on the place that you're going to set your poster up. It's important for you to know this format, to get comfortable with it, because when you prepare in practice to disseminate information that you or your research team identifies, you're going to want to be able to do this in a professional way that at least feels a little bit familiar. So that's the reason we're going to do your dissemination in a format that's going to support professional practice. All that being said, you have been given a template. Not every organization has a template. Some have very refined templates, and they have their watermarks and their branding on them. If you're part of a hospital system like Greenville Health System, they have their own poster template. We don't have one for our college, so I created one that has a green background. You're welcome to change any of the elements on this poster for your assignment except the poster boxes. So you're required to have an abstract, the introduction, what your research question was, a summary of your research findings, implementing the innovation, and then implications for future practice. You'll also have references and acknowledgement. All of those 7 boxes are required to remain as part of your poster, but you can change the size of those boxes, you can change the color of those boxes, you can change the location of those boxes. I want to tell you that this poster is placed on the backdrop of a PowerPoint, so it's going to function much like a single slide of a PowerPoint. You're going to add elements using text boxes. What exists here in the poster template you have are just a series of text boxes. You can see, if I wanted to, I can move these around. I can make them larger. I can make them smaller. I can take them from over here to over here. You can make just about anything you want to do get bigger or smaller based on the size that you need. When you begin to develop your template, I want to remind you that you're going to use 18 font is normally accepted for poster size. Right now, as you're looking at it on your screen, this poster is at 30%. So if I type in using 18 font, you're going to see it's going to look really, really small. It does not help. I'm looking through, and you want to make sure that your font color, right now mine is white, so I'm going to go back in, I'm going to change my font color, and there you see the word hello where I typed it, and that's actually it's in 20 font, so you would think, okay, that's going to look really big. Remember that your poster is in 30%. So if I go down here to the bottom right corner and I increase this, remember what I told you, that for printing, this is going to be printed at 400%. So if I increase it, you see how much bigger it gets? If I go all the way to 400%, that's what someone's going to see when they walk by your poster when it's hung up on a wall or on a presentation board. So I want to help you just remember that that really is the format that you're using. So understand that the font is going to look very small based on the percentage of size that you're showing. I like to work in about 50% because it's close enough that I can see how everything lays out. And then as I finish a box, I increase it to about 150 to 200%, and then I can get a better feel of exactly what this looks like. This sizing at 30% lets me see the general flow. I can figure out where I want my boxes and make sure they're the size I need them to be. So, and keep in mind that these are all boxes. So all you have to do is just move them around and get them to be the size you want them to be. Now, because these are text boxes, you can change the font color where you want the font. You can do whatever you want. You can also add new text boxes. One of the reasons you're going to want to do this is if you are going to add a picture or a graph or a chart. And that's a required element of creating a poster that's aesthetic, that's interesting to the person walking by your poster. I will say that if you go to a poster presentation or a conference that has a poster session associated with it, and you walk through the poster sessions, you will see a huge variety of how people approach their professional posters. I have been to scientific conferences where there are absolutely no pictures, no graphs, no charts, just words everywhere. They are really hard to read when you're going to a poster session. Meaningful charts and graphs help visualize things that you have found in your research, help put measurements that you can walk by and get a better sense of specific elements or details that you found in your research. So think about what you found and how you could put that in a visual format that would be eye-catching and interesting to the person walking by your poster. So for your purposes, what I will tell you is when you get ready to insert something into your poster, you are going to be better off to insert a text box and then add the picture, the chart, or the element into the text box. So I'm going to give you an example of that. Up here you've got the word insert in your header, and you can go in here and you're going to insert, here's your text box, and I'm going to put it down here and I'm going to open it up right here. So this is just a plain text box. Now over on my other side of my screen, I have a picture, and you're going to see me pull it in. It's just on my desktop. So as you see, I am pulling in, just dragging and dropping a picture, and I'm dropping it into the text box field, and it's thinking about it. So as I have put this picture into the text box, it has increased the size of my picture and the size of the text box, and this allows me to move it around and get it to fit into the poster in a way that I think is a little bit easier. And this is one of my favorite pictures. We tell our puppies all the time how much we love them when we rescued them. So this one tells you, can you tell me the story about how you rescued me again? That would probably not be appropriate for your topic, but the idea is to find things that are eye-catching. For your purposes, they need to be relevant to your topic, and they need to be meaningful to the content that you've covered. So the idea of adding pictures and text boxes, pictures within a text box, and then making sure that you've used a graph or a table or some sort of diagram that illustrates findings that you had in your research. So again, I want to remind you, you may move everything around. You just cannot delete the topics that are in these text boxes. You need to be adding pictures or graphs or some type of visual element to support the material you found. The last thing I want to remind you is that every poster should have a reference page. Your references and acknowledgments are down here, and it's a pretty small box. If you have 5 to 6 references on your poster, and that's what your reference list is, it is the references that you have specifically cited on your poster. So be mindful that you are going to be placing information that came from your paper on your poster. Be sure that you continue to follow professional writing skills and that you're citing authors properly using APA formatting. So you're going to, whoever you cite and reference on your poster, you're going to put those references into that reference box. If you use 5 to 6 authors, you're probably going to have enough space to put it on that in that little box. If you have more than 5 or 6, you're going to want to do a separate reference list that would actually be a Word document. You can go onto your paper and grab the references that you put on your poster and just create a new Word document, put the top header as references and put your name, and you'll attach that as a second file before you submit your research poster. So that would be, and in this box on the poster where it says references and acknowledgments, you would simply type a message message to your viewer that says, please see attached reference list, or please see accompanying reference list, see speaker for reference list. I have done that several times because my reference list is pretty long, and I also want to give the person that's viewing my poster additional information about the topics that I researched. So know that you have that option. If your references fit and they're readable, no less than 16 font, by all means you can put them on here. If you have more than that, leave a little note here in that reference box, shrink it up so it's not taking up so much space. You can make it smaller, move it down and get it out of the way, and then you can make it take up less space, and then just add a Word document with the references that are on your poster. Again, your poster needs to reconcile whatever references you use on either the reference and acknowledgement corner of your poster or a separate reference sheet. Both of them need to align. So we've talked about how to shrink and enlarge this. We talked about moving around boxes and changing color, adding pictures, graphs, and diagrams into a text box so you can easily expand and move them. The next thing I want to talk about is just the general what the flow of a good poster looks like. And I'm going to give you an example. The first I did with my research. So I'm going to open this up and show you what a poster that I did looks like. So this is, make sure I'm getting it fit. Okay, so this is my poster from a research project that I did that was also published in a paper format first. This has all of the information that came based on the research that I did. I am not, let me see if I can increase it just a touch so you can read a little bit of it. You can see that there is a mix of bullet points, simple sentences, and a few small paragraphs. You want to be sure that you are not inserting whole paragraphs from your paper. It's perfectly okay for you to take a sentence or two and bring it in to your paper, into your poster, but you don't want to copy and paste every element from your paper and then just chunk it into boxes. You want to make sure that they're concise and they're easy to read. For me, I had a key concept, and this was the background and the overview of what I was looking at when I was looking at resilience, job satisfaction, and anticipated turnover. These are short paragraphs. I broke them up by adding a line between them so that it made it more readable if someone was walking by my poster. I added a lot of color and dimension in the change of font, so that people could look at this and be able to get a general idea of the big ideas, and then use smaller font for smaller ideas. I added a few clip arts here and there. A good half of the art of living is resilience. Just catchy little phrases that were tucked in to catch someone's eye as they walked by. My research was about job satisfaction and anticipated turnover, and this was a graph here at the bottom of my poster of what I found as far as an overlap of what job satisfaction and anticipated turnover looked at. And that was a statistically significant graph that I reported when I published. I also have a graph here that was pretty simple, but it helped connect the ideas of resilience so that someone, again, that was walking by quickly could get a general snapshot of what the basics of the poster were. And then hopefully the idea was that they would catch their attention, and then they would come back and look at the poster and read it for all of the smaller elements. So when you think about, okay, how do I take what's in my paper and put it in a poster, I want you to be thinking about key ideas. Begin to pull them from your paper. You may need to wordsmith them, reword them so that they're more concise and bullet point-esque. Be willing to do that. As you build your paper, you're going to get a better sense of what you want it to look like. The other thing I'm going to encourage you to do is think about what you wrote about and what you found, and how those could be represented in a graph or a table. Perhaps you want to show, of your 10 articles, a certain percentage of those articles were about this topic, another percentage of the articles was about this topic, and another maybe about another topic. You can use the design and draw elements within PowerPoint to create a table or two. You need at least one. Two would be interesting, and then maybe add a few interesting pictures. Again, you want to be thoughtful about making a visual representation of the things you found that help your poster be aesthetic and interesting to the person walking by. So this is one example. I'm going to give you another example. This is a more simple group. I did this years ago with a group of colleagues that I worked with, and we did a quick interprofessional study and wanted to share some ideas that we found. So this is something that's probably a little closer to what you all will do, that's very basic. So you've got a very simple paragraph, some bullet pointed ideas, and then our models that we used and developed to put into kind of eye-catching. I want you to know that the posters can be as simple as this, and it can be as complex as the one that was just up. Excuse me. So we have talked about the importance of framework. We've talked about citing and making sure that the reference list is accurate, the aesthetics that you need to have a poster, not a poster, but some type of diagram and print pictures to support what the content of your paper is. You want to be sure that you have kept all of the required elements. Again, you can move them around, change the color, and do whatever you'd like with them, but you want to hang on to all of the required elements. I'm going to encourage you to go back in and read the assignment requirements. Make sure that you have covered all of the requirements. Make sure you've read the rubric associated with this poster. I hope this video is helpful for you in getting an idea of the general logistics of how to create an aesthetic poster, the value of learning this information well so that you understand how to design a poster so that when you're in practice, you'll be able to develop a professional looking poster for your own use. I hope this is helpful.